Here we go. So, right off the bat, right, we're going to just start off and warm up talking about the current updates on the Stockton mass shooting that had happened, which I believe was, when was that? After Thanksgiving. So, November 29th was when that happened. And obviously, with the type of lives that were lost, especially kids, you would have a bit of a 9/11 vibe to it, right? So one of the victims, the father, came out and spoke out against the rapper that was present in that party. And what did he say? Something to the extent of, well, this was your responsibility because you knew the type of gang banging that you were coming from, and as a result, it ended within the demise of his own kid. Let's hear what he had to say about this, right? Because it's really interesting that he did have a responsible. First, MB Nell, the alleged target, came out with a statement, right, saying that he was sorry for the lives that were lost. Basically, the generic condolences that you would say, right? And I'm not trying to be mean about that. I'm just saying there is a certain procedure that you do in the world of PR and public relations as to what you say, especially in a magnitude where many people are blaming you for being the responsible party. Well, how about this, right? Maybe it's your responsibility as a parent to not bring your children around certain environments. You know what I mean? Like, there is that argument as well. The argument that you're the one bringing your kids around danger. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about what's next for Anthony Joshua after breaking Jake Paul's jaw. Logan Paul and his own mother weigh in on this subject right here, right? She weighs in on this subject, saying that she was going to slap Eddie Hearn. We're going to talk about that. Andrew Tate and his supporters still coping. Let's find out what all of this is about. Okay, what is next for Chase Demoor? Or will this be no more in the future after these 15 minutes of fame, right? That is what we are going to explore in this whole entire fiasco that happens right after Andrew Tate was beaten, badly beaten. Now, how bad is to your argument? Well, we're actually going to talk about that as well, because it didn't look too bad for me. And I'm going to tell you why, right? I'm setting a different expectation from Andrew Tate, right? It is predicated on the fact that Andrew Tate is a kickboxer, right? And indicative of that are some of the lunges that he was throwing in there. A lot of these shots that he was sort of throwing in a very unorthodox way of, let's say, moving forward and just throwing 1-2s or just blitzkrieging Chase Demoor, right? That's indicative of his kickboxing and MMA style striking, right? That's going to be talked about. But what about Chase Demoor? Now that he beats Andrew Tate, is this his 15 minutes of fame? What is he going to do with this, right? He didn't look too good as well. And look, part of the reason why he didn't look as good is because Andrew Tate allowed him to clinch him continuously. Okay, he allowed him to clinch him continuously. I tell you what, if Andrew Tate was the type of fighter, that was MMA grappling centric, this would have favored him. But you see, Andrew Tate is a kickboxer, very limited to that aspect. Not only is Andrew Tate limited to that aspect, he doesn't have a strong grappling background. So he was not able to mitigate all of these leanings, all of these clinch positions, all of these tiring positions that Andrew Tate was placed in. as a result of not allowing, or actually allowing, Chase Demoor to work his game. Look, Chase Demoor was a football player, right? And he's going to have certain attributes. And as a result of that, he was able to push on towards Andrew Tate. And while he was pushing on towards Andrew Tate just got worn out. So everything that Andrew Tate is speaking about when he says that he was worn out was exactly that. That is exactly what he was talking about. All the leanings, all the clinches that Chase was putting in on him. So, you know, that's the reality of this situation. You know, I gotta tell you, right? Yesterday, there were a lot of trolls that were popping in here, and I gotta tell you that you're not productive, okay? Because one of the arguments that some bozo that I had to just delete right now is something to the extent of production, or your self-worth to society. Here's the thing, right? A lot of you don't even have $2,000 in your bank account. You know what I mean? It's really sad, the state that America is in right now, which kind of segues us into the other topic that we're going to talk about, which is America at war with Venezuela, right? Obviously, the U.S. right now is in economic shambles. I told you guys, a lot of you don't have $2,000 in your bank account, and you're talking about you have a 9-to-5 job, and you think that somehow that, look, here's the thing, right? Nobody knows anyone online, right? And that's with good reason. Here's the thing, right? You never reveal where you are at, right? Well, obviously, you guys know that I'm obviously filming this from within the location of my house, but you don't know where I live. You don't know anything about me. I keep a lot of the private life that I have a secret. And that's with good reason, because a lot of people out there will set you up. Because I really mean what I say when I tell you that there are a lot of people out there that don't even have $2,000 in their bank account. Okay? I could tell you that, well, let's just say that I live very comfortably, because for a long time I have put the right investments, right time into places where you could just relax in your later stages in your life. Look, I'm 40 years old, right? Loving life. A lot of you are hating life by the time you're 40, because many of you are put in situations where you are forced to be in endless, tireless job that you hate. You are forced to be in this, human race of constant keeping up with the Joneses, on top of keeping up with your mortgage, on top of keeping up with your car payments, on top of keeping up with X, Y, and Z. I mean, in all honesty, this is the reality of many Americans today. And I'm telling you, I really mean that when I say a lot of you, especially a lot of you who are talking smack online, don't even have $2,000 in your bank account. And you know it. And you're over here trying to talk smack to me. You know what I mean? Like, living comfortably, living great, living without a worry in the world. 40 years old, not even looking like I'm 40 years old, because let's be honest about this. I didn't go and put my life in a stressful situations the way that a lot of you were forced into, right? Especially, look, I'm going to tell you the type of guys that I hate the most, right? The type of guys that I hate the most are these, wannabe military dudes that never went to the military, went to college, lived this frat boy life, and then once they left college, now they fantasize about being a warrior, and after fantasizing about being a warrior, then all of a sudden they join these camps that teach you how to be a man. You know these guys that I'm talking about, these guys that join these little camps to pretend that they are a man or this and that, or they do like these fake Navy SEAL boot camps, right? Like, these are the dudes that I can't stand. Victory, shout out to you, my man. Good morning, brother. Man, we had a good morning the other day when we were going at those trolls, huh? So, you know, again, like I said, a lot of people right now are very much bitter about their life, right? Look, what did I just say earlier? I said that there are people out there who don't even have $2,000 in their bank account. Okay, can you imagine that? Like, bro, listen, I don't want to talk numbers, but man, look, there is just a certain number that I will just not allow myself to live with, right? I'm gonna just say that in America, life sucks. Life sucks in America if you don't make over six figures. In the 90s, you could get away with having a $50,000 job. Like, for example, if you're a teacher, right? And I know a lot of the viewership is going to go down after me saying this, but this is just the God honest truth. Look, I'm going to tell you, right? I realized something. I realized that in order to get me to the next level of YouTube, I have to be very honest, right? And I think sometimes I hold back on a lot of things. I hold back on a lot of certain topics or expressing myself, and I'm going to tell you why, right? Because I don't want to be disqualified from, let's say, future opportunities, right? So I try to toe the line of being politically correct. Well, here's the thing, right? I don't believe in New Year's resolutions or I mean, I don't even believe in Christmas, for crying out loud. You know, you guys are tuned into a Muslim channel, but you guys are tuned in with me because you like the same things I do. Geopolitics, MMA, and internet Hollywood gossip. And what better place to go check that out than right here. Kyrie Abu El-Kheer MMA, Sacramento, California, represent. So that's how we do it, right? I'm just going to be honest about this, right? So here it goes, right? It is very hard to live in America with less than $100,000. And that is the God honest truth. It is very difficult to do that. If you do it, God bless you, but you would have to have, you know, a real strong backbone and a real strong foundation behind you to get you through that. And believe it or not, a lot of the people that I know that have really survived through poverty, or were great at surviving through poverty, believe it or not, are people that come from gang cultures, which, by the way, segues into this particular topic that we are going to talk about with Stockton. Okay, so we're going to start off with this, and then we'll go off with the subjects that we were talking about. As we were just talking about that earlier, I gave you guys a breakdown of Andrew Tate. We're also going to take a look at some UFC updates, because there's not going to be UFC in the next coming weeks, but guess what? The show must go on. So the fact that the fighters are not going to be able to compete because of the schedule from the UFC, it is up to the content creators to get out there and promote the sport. That is what we are going to do, is promote the sport from afar while we are awaiting the 6-week waiting period of the Paramount debut. So as a result, what we're going to do is we're going to entertain the MMA world with other topics that they could be interested in as well, right? When I first talked to MMA, I was going to say MMA Joey. No, a little Freudian slip there, but I meant to say Jesse on Fire, right? When I first met Jesse on Fire and talked to him, I said to him, I was like, yeah, so I do MMA content, but I also mix it up with, you know, gang content as well. He said, wow, that's quite fascinating, because it kind of ties into the reality of violence, right? When it comes to gang violence, there's a certain reality of violence that people are attracted to, and that as much as they are attracted to the type of violence that Anthony Joshua placed upon Jake Paul. There is this human instinct that we have to be fascinated and interested by these things. But unfortunately, what comes with gang violence is a set of tragedies, right? Such as what happened in Stockton. What happened in Stockton? Well, obviously, there was a father whose son died attending the birthday party. It was the birthday party of one of the rappers' baby mama's kids, right? She was the one that was on the news that had the choke biddy tattoo on her neck. And yes, she was the host of the party. And obviously, Nano, one of the members of the Flyboy Crips in the 8th Street gang, was the baby father of the kids' birthday. And he's now in jail as a result of violating, parole stipulations and what have you. So, okay, let's hear what the father had to say to MB Nell, right? Because MB Nell came out with a public relations, generic explanation of things, as he should, right? Especially with a tragedy like this, is just what you do. But, all right, let's hear this.
What do you think about what the dad has said, responding to MDNL's post about basically breaking his silence?
I seen that. Yeah. I seen that. For those of you guys that don't know, MD made a post finally on Instagram about the whole shooting and the mass shooting and tragic situation. Well, there was a 14-year-old kid that lost his life, and may that kid rest in peace. And I send prayers to his family. Well, that young kid's dad commented on what MB now posted and was this what you're talking about, right?
Right, correct.
Okay, so yeah, so that kid's dad, man, was kind of like in a way blaming can we put it on the screen?
Yeah, we'll put it up right now.
Okay, so yeah, there it goes right there on your guys' screen. MB now, he was kind of blaming MB now for it.
All right, I'm going to read it to you guys. He says, Ninja, my son died meeting you. I know you remember seeing me. I just buried my son 2 days and my innocent son gone because you sorry ass ninjas banging at a kid's party. The F type of is you on and ninjas on, right? So that's basically what he said.
And then I don't agree with that, bro. To answer your question, now I don't agree with what the dad was saying, but at the same time, who am I to tell the dad how the fuck to feel? You feel me? Who am I to tell the dad and no one tell the dad anything? He just lost his son. He just buried his child. But in my opinion, though, I don't think the rappers.
All right, so check this out, right? Days after that shooting, MB Nell went into hiding, right? His dad said that, you know what, my son is in hiding right now. Let's take a look at what MB Nell's dad had said, right? MB Nell's dad right here had spoke out about the incident. So let's hear what he had to say here. This was a New York Post, by the way, okay? So he told his dad, don't say anything to anyone, okay? And remember, his dad is not a gangster, right? He's a Filipino immigrant. He's not really tapped into this culture like that. Like, for example, like let's say with a lot of our black homies, right? A lot of the black homies, a lot of their dads were all in gangs, like dating back to like 1970s, 60s, and then the Mexicans. I mean, look, you could trace their gang culture from the 1920s. Okay, like, obviously, I'm not an LA gang historian or a California gang historian. I just know the politics of certain regions of California, and that's about it, right? But if you ask anybody that is an expert in that field, they will tell you that many of the gang cultures within the Mexican sets, all right, are as old as 100 years old. Like, from the 1920s, these Mexican gangs have their lineage from. Now, with the Bloods and the black side, the black car with the Bloods and the Crips, you could date back from maybe as early as 1960s or 70s the most, and then obviously cultivated into what it became in the 1980s, where it was just nothing but color, red versus red, blue, red versus blue, blue versus red. Whereas now there's a little bit more complicated matters of the gang politics that's involved in Stockton, right? Which we're going to get into in that particular subject as well, right? Because Marty Miller, my one of my my moderators in the chat, he calls me the race whisperer, right? And I thought to myself, you know what? I am. And it is because of the experiences that I've had, right? But at the same time, you got to look and understand when you look at Stockton, it is a race whisperer kind of town, if you really think about it, right? Why is Stockton a race whisperer kind of town? Because you got Mexicans sometimes joining in with black gangs. You got black dudes that are in Mexican gangs. You got white dudes that are in all types of gangs across all the different races. You got gangs that are half Asian and half black. And then you got those guys fighting with a full-on black gang, while the black gangs are also fighting the Mexicans. And then it's just a whole wide range of mess, but at the same time, a certain level of cultural wars that's involved in it. And here's another thing. How ganged up is Stockton? They even got Indian gangs. I'm talking about not Native American gangs. I'm talking about Cash Patel Indians. Okay? Like Indian biker gangs in Stockton. Okay? And I know this indicative of the fact that I ran across a few of these Indian Sikh dudes with biker jackets at the gym, at a fitness gym nearby. And I walked up to him. I was like, "Hey, where are you guys from?" And then they said Stockton, and then they named their biker club. And I was like, "Wow, okay, man, yeah, Stockton really is diverse in the gang apparatus that they have going on." But that's the reality of it. Okay, going back to MB Nell's dad, right? Very important thing here, right? His dad goes into hiding, right? As I told you guys, that's the host of the party right there, okay? And that is the late son that was slain, right? So the anguished dad of the California teen killed last week, birthday massacre, described as his son was a perfect kid. Okay, Amari Peterson, 14, died. One or more of the gunmen sprayed bullets into the crowd of the parents and the kids who gathered for a 20-year-old birthday in Stockton, okay, on November 29th. The shooting, which authorities say is linked to gang activities, left 10 wounded and 4 dead, 3 of them children. And that is the father that we are speaking about, right? So yeah, this is the father right here. Now, okay, so MB Nell, whose real name is Janelle Dongan, and his wife were hit but survived with minor injuries. The artist's dad told the Post on Monday, right after, mind you, listen, after he instructed his dad, don't talk to him. Oh man, this old Filipino man, God bless his heart, man. He told his dad, okay, this fob-ass ninja, don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone. Greetings to you as well, Jigsy. I don't celebrate, but I'm glad to be your entertainment while you guys are out there doing what you do. So Jimmy O'Hard says, happy Kwanzaa. I don't celebrate that either. I always wondered what that was. I know that it's some sort of African tradition, but is it tied to Christian heritage or Jewish heritage? I'm just curious about that. But on any regard, he says, me neither, I'm Hebrew. Okay, awesome. Well, all is welcome, right? So, okay, back to this one, right? Okay, so MB Nell obviously went into hiding. He told his dad not to say anything, and his dad insisted on talking to the New York Post. Okay, so not only did he bypass LA Times, Stockton Times, the Sacramento Bee, he goes to the big media conglomerate of them all, New York Post, across the country. But anyways, not to digress. On the pavement behind the party room, hideous bloodstains remain spread amongst the children's shoes as of Monday, haunting images of the Post showed. The garage-style front door, which the bullets hole, so there it is right there. MB Nell left in Stockton, has been hiding in the suburbs of Sacramento. There it is, man. He's got, a house out here in Sacramento. That's what most Stockton people do. Once they make it, they move to Sacramento and, and move into the affluent neighborhoods. Okay, so Susanna Archuleta, 21, was struck in the neck and bled out in the scene. My brother died in my arms. Okay, so All right. So, okay, but nonetheless, what it was that the dad had said that he went into hiding, right? MB Nell was at an MMA gym. He was at an MMA gym, MB Nell, with some Armenian guy. Let me see if there's a picture of that, right? Because when they said that he went into hiding, yeah, he went and trained with us. Hold on, let me see here. Where is that picture? Hold on a second here. Anyways, yeah, but he was at an MMA gym when they said that he was at hiding. I don't know what. Yeah, I guess they don't have a picture of that, but okay, let's go back to this.
Should be blamed because I see a lot of people doing that, blaming the people who were in attendance. Some people are blaming the mothers and blaming the fathers for even bringing your child to that environment. You know what I'm saying? Because you're pointing blame at the rappers. Well, some people could say you need to take accountability for yourself and your own actions for bringing your child even to that environment. You feel me? And I'm not saying that, but that's what a lot of people are saying. I read the comments and people are posting about it and things like that. At the end of the day, man, people just need prayers, you feel me? And I send prayers to that family. I send my condolences.
Right. I send my condolences to the family as well, you know, and yeah, I do agree with you on that because, you know, people know what they're walking into. They know who they are and everything like that. So if you knew they were dangerous people, why would you bring your family and you into that situation?
Bingo. See, there it is, man. That's what it is. Look, here's the thing, right? It amazes me how people out there are very lax and carefree about their choices of lacking threat assessments, right? Like, in other words, okay, I'll give you an example. Let's be blunt about this, right? This guy, Matt Spear, from the Don't Unfriend Me podcast, right? When me and him got into a little bit of a spat, you know, he mentioned something to the effect that I threw veiled threats at him or something to that effect, like because he said that I mentioned his address, which I never did. All I mentioned was, you know, what part of the United States he's at, and he took that as like, oh, that I'm gonna come there and do something. So, yeah, very weird stuff like that, right? But at the same time, for a guy that worries about threats or calls people out on threats or this and that, he puts his family out there. He puts his kids in commercials. He puts his wife as a co-host and this and that. And what do you know? Obviously, people who he pisses off are going to take shots at all of that, right? So what I'm trying to say is that, man, you should not have your kids around public, you know, settings of your, you know, public work or content. I don't agree with it because it can be used against you. And George St. Pierre has mentioned why he's never shared his personal family life to the UFC media. Khabib, the same thing. And what does Khabib do? Obviously, he calls, I'm sorry, what does Conor McGregor do? He calls Khabib's wife a towel because rightfully so, his wife is not a hoe, comes from a religious background, unlike you people in the Western world that come from a culture of women that you get like secondhand, you know, car owners. I mean, that's really what a lot of dudes are in Western society nowadays. They are secondhand car owners. I mean, you have no idea of the type of homies I know in Stockton who have women that have had multiple baby daddies. I mean, I don't know about you. I would not be comfortable being with a woman that already had multiple baby daddies, and at some point that just, you know, counts as a red flag, but not to digress.
But at the same time, they don't know what's gonna happen or what's gonna go on and everything like that, you know. But at the end of the day, you know, they may be rappers, but you know they're in the streets and you know what comes with it, you know. So just that's what I think. I think you shouldn't blame the rappers because they can't control what happened, and you're there whenever you had a chance to not be there in that situation, you know.
Yeah, hell yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to say too. Like,
So what they're saying is that the dad blamed MB Nell, but it was the dad that brought the kid to a rapper's party. Like, what are you thinking bringing your kid around rappers and gang members?
you knew what you was bringing your family into when you went to that party, but you wanted to be there. You feel me? Or your son was a fan of these rappers, and I get it. You want to make your son happy. You feel me? And this is just, like I said, a tragic situation that should never happen to anyone, regardless of anything.
And right, I'm not saying this to agree with it or like be cool with it. I'm just saying, like, it's just common sense. You know, you don't walk in a just like you don't walk in a store with a bunch of gang members. You know, you don't walk into a door where you know anything can happen at any moment, and you know your life may be in jeopardy.
Right. Nah, I feel what you.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. 100% agree with that assessment right there.
Saying most definitely.
Okay, right. Now, I have seen you have just hit 3,000 followers. You feel me? I see you, bro.
All right, so let's go back to the very beginning of this one, right? And by the way, shout out to Scott. I'm going to tell you why we're going to go back to the very beginning of this, right? Because we're obviously, it talks about the history of the gang culture in Stockton. So a little brief synopsis on this, right? A lot of the blood and cripping that happened in Stockton was an influence by multitudes of things, right? Obviously, with a lot of the gang members that were trying to escape, let's say, LA, and going up north, right, to, let's say, Highway 5, right, going up north to Highway 5 in the 1980s because they were trying to get away from LA. And by the way, this story of many people that have experienced that, right, these LA Bloods and Crips members that had decided to migrate up in Stockton, kind of reminds me of CJ in San Andreas, if you think about it, right, the storyline. Right, he's in the main city of Los Santos or LA, and the next thing you know, CJ is living in the farm or in areas that sort of look like that. Well, that's sort of my impression was of Stockton when I first moved in there, because before I moved there to live with someone that I knew there, right, I figured why not look at it on the internet. This was like back in the mid 2000s. I was like, oh, this just looked like nothing but farms. Okay, but there's a few palm trees there. They got a few plazas here and there that people hang out. There seems to be like this prevalent biker culture, right? Race bike culture. And then, the import racing scenes, lowrider scenes. They had all of that going on. But they had a very complex, racial gang politics, and this part of the video goes into that.
I'm gonna get right into this. Now, I got a special guest for y'all, and we're gonna be talking about the ceasefire that was going on and everything that's transpired.
What's popping with my peoples? Yeah.
So, by the way, they were also talking about a ceasefire as a result of this, this war that they had going on, right? So, yeah, take a look at this.
I know who it is, man. It's your boy Moneyville Media right here, tapped in with that guy, Valley Boy. And yeah, man, so like he just said, we're going to get into this topic about a ceasefire and a truce in the city of Stockton. And will it work?
Now let's get right into this. Even though I've been in and out the system myself, I wanted to ask you this question because you are a little bit older than me and you also been to prison and stuff like that. So what do you think about people trying to put on a ceasefire?
Man, so yeah, I have been around the block a couple times, you know what I'm saying? Spun that motherfucker a couple times. Still, no, I'm just playing. I ain't never did none of that. But on some real shit, man, will a ceasefire work? Will a peace treaty work in the streets of Stockton? It's a tough one, man. It's a tough one. Before we go any further, make sure y'all hit that like button.
Yeah, I tell you what, a truce with gangs never truly exist, okay? I'm going to tell you why. They never truly exist because even though some people respect that ceasefire. There are others that are not going to respect that ceasefire. Now, what about... Remember when the Taliban in the United States had a little bit of a ceasefire treaty going on, right? Obviously, that got broken, right? As soon as the U.S. was trying to leave, they had decided that they were going to execute the translators, the collaborators, and what have you. But in gang culture, it's really no different, right? Ceasefires are never truly a ceasefire or a peace deal, ever. But all right, let's get back to this one.
No, and subscribe right here to Valley Boy Media. If you ain't subscribed, you're a sucker. Like a real life sucker. And I heard your hood don't be, oh shit, my nigga, and the suckers be sliding up and down that motherfucker slithering. Nah, I'm just playing. But go ahead and subscribe, man. You know, we right here with Valley Boy Media. And it's your boy right here, man. He brought me on. You feel me? We doing this shit live and direct. But yeah, back to the question at hand, man. He asked me, what do I think about a ceasefire? I think it could work, but it depends with who, because there's all kinds of different gangs, bro. Like, you know, you from Stockton, you feel me?
Yeah, right.
And my nigga, like, you know, just like I know, there's so many different gangs out here. You got black gangs, right? Bloods, Crips.
Okay, and there we go. This is what I'm talking about right here.
You got white gangs, bro. Okieville. You feel me? Crazy.
And by the way, those white gangs happen to also be, well, a bit on the white supremacist side of things, if you know what I mean.
White boys. You got different white boy gangs. You got the Northerners. You feel me? You not really, there ain't no Sureños out here, but you got Asian gangs. You feel me? Bloods and Crips. You got different sides of towns. You got people, like, there's a lot of different politics that go into this. So, I mean, could it work? Yeah, but then no. What you think, bro?
What I think about this whole situation, it would take everybody as a one for this to happen, but besides everybody's differences, you know, everybody got differences, everybody got their own opinion to things, right? And just off of that, I think this probably would happen, but possibly not, because of all the bloodshed that has transpired.
And there you go, right? That's the key word right there, is that, you know, the bloodshed that had, you know, that could transpire, or that has transpired as a result, and now, you know, there is no chance for peace at all. So that is the updates that we got with Stockton. As I've told you guys, that is all that I have for that one. But let's move on to the next particular subject, right? The real reason why Andrew Tate lost. Let's hear this, right? Let's transition into other things, right? From street stuff now into the world of entertainment boxing, right? Because that is literally what Andrew Tate is classified as in terms of Misfits boxing. So,
truthfully, the result I wanted was to see if I could still do it, but I didn't quit. Never give up. Never retreat, never surrender, fight to the end, go out on your shield.
Never retreat, never surrender. That sounds like the EDL, you know, call sign or something, right? You know, that's sort of, you know, no surrender, no surrender, no surrender to the Taliban. That's like the little chant that they do, right? That's what it sounds like when he's saying that.
Time.
No surrender, no surrender. That's what it sounds like.
To the end, go out on your shield. Time is the fire in which we all burn. But I gave it my absolute all, and I have nothing but respect for Chase. I have no excuses. He was the man who won. He deserves this victory. Truthfully, completely, and honestly, I'm actually very proud of him. And I'm glad to know that Misfits have a true champion, because he is a true champion. So I'm not disappointed in myself. I don't operate from that frame. The only way I would be disappointed in myself is if I was too scared to fight at all.
All right, fellas, it's been a few days since the Tate fight, and now that the initial reactions have settled, I think we can finally talk about what actually happened without all the noise. Because looking back at it now, this fight wasn't controversial, it wasn't unlucky, and it definitely wasn't close. It was, in many ways, an all-time case of cherry-picking gone wrong. For years, Andrew Tate has built a massive part of his brand around being a dangerous, disciplined fighter. Someone who understands violence, competition, and physical dominance better than most people. If you've spent any time online, you've seen the pad work clips, the old kickboxing highlights, and the constant talk about how he's still in elite shape. And honestly, going into this fight,
and I gotta tell you, all of that all of that, I think, may have really backfired on Andrew Tate in a way where now he is setting certain expectations. But at the same time, should we, though? Should we hold him up to that, right? Like, he never said that he was the baddest fighter in the world. Yes, did he mention he had certain accolades in the world of kickboxing? Okay, sure, right? But he never said that he was the best kickboxer in the world. He just mentioned that, hey, you know what? Men should go out there and be strong, be resourceful, be useful, and have confidence in themselves in whatever it is that they do, right? That doesn't seem to be really the worst message in the world, but you got to remember, the way that Andrew Tate did it was very extreme, right? And sometimes, even if it is just banter or even if it is just tongue-in-cheek, when you tell someone that, hey, while you're having a heart attack, why don't you just do push-ups and smoke a cigarette? Or let's say if you're Charlie Kirk saying, well, you know what, nobody in Gaza can throw any gays off the roof now because there's no more roofs in buildings over there, right? That's very distasteful, right? So you do create a certain backlash that unfortunately comes with the reality of people, you know, being very angry at what you said. So, all right, going back to this.
Wasn't much reason to doubt him on the surface. He has real experience. He's been in real fights. He's won real titles. So the assumption was simple. Even if he wasn't perfect, surely he'd be prepared enough to handle the challenge in front of him. But that assumption turned out to be completely wrong. From the opening rounds, something felt off. Tate didn't look sharp. He didn't look relaxed. And most importantly, he didn't look comfortable in the kind of fight that was unfolding. As the rounds went on, it became impossible to ignore. He was fatigued, slow, and struggling with basic boxing fundamentals. That's what confused people the most. This wasn't supposed to be a guy showing up unprepared.
Okay, so I'm gonna explain why that is, right? I'm gonna go technical on you guys right now, right? Technical martial arts, okay. When it comes to boxing, some of the things that they emphasize is head movement and then movement with your hips, okay? So in boxing, let me get up and give you guys a little bit of a demonstration right now, okay? So, in boxing, there's a certain rhythm, okay? A certain rhythm that you have to try and mitigate, right? The certain rhythm that you're mitigating in boxing, okay, is head movement and also movement within your hips, okay? So there's movement within your hips and then with your head at the same time. Whereas in kickboxing, you can get away with fighting with your hands down like this, right? Because your legs are always, you know, ready to, you know, be right there to be used. And also kind of just set up counter shots, right? But at the same time, also use having your hands down as a quicker way to throw kicks. Because remember, when you throw kicks, right, you got to swing your arm back like this every time you throw kicks, okay? While you're throwing kicks, you're swinging your arm back. So when you're having your hands down, it's making the kicks a lot quicker. So these are the quintessential bad habits that Andrew Tate has picked up as a result of kickboxing, right? In kickboxing, you don't need to do a lot of this. You don't need to do a lot of that. And you honestly have to save a lot of your hip motion for your kicks. Whereas in boxing, you can expend a lot of your motion with your hips because you're not using your legs to kick. You're only using your legs to move around, right? But you're not using your legs to kick. So you have affordability with the motion of doing this, right? Moving your hips, and then moving your head as well in boxing. Andrew Tate does not have that habit in kickboxing. And that is why he looked like the way that he did. All right, back to the video for further explanation.
Tate has money, resources, connections, and a team full of people who've lived the fight life. You You'd expect a camp that left no stone unturned. Instead, what we saw looked like a fighter who trained for a very specific version of the fight and panicked when it didn't go that way. If you go back and look at the fight camp footage that was posted on Rumble, it starts to make more sense. The camp itself looked intense, sure, but intensity doesn't always equal quality. Most of the sparring we saw was against people smaller than him, kickboxers or his own friends, guys he's likely sparred with for years. That's a huge problem. When you're preparing for a real fight, especially at heavyweight, familiarity is the enemy. Sparring with people who know you, who respect you, and who don't push you into uncomfortable territory creates a false sense of...
I agree with this. I agree with this assessment right here. When you train with people that you are familiar with, it doesn't challenge you. It doesn't give you the proper challenge of allowing yourself to go through adversity that you may not be prepared for. Now, what was the adversity that Andrew Tate was not prepared for with this fight? Well, it's really that simple, right? His adversity here was the weight and the height of Chase, right? The weight and the height of Chase was too much for him. And as a result, Andrew Tate gassed out because of the weight that Chase was putting upon Andrew Tate.
Readiness. You don't learn how to adapt. You don't learn how to survive chaos.
And everyone said, Andrew, you're 40 years old. You just got out of jail. You've been through so much. You have so many...
Here's another thing too, right, that I had noticed, right? The intensity in which Andrew Tate trains at, okay, is like as if he's just, you know, having a stroll with, you know, pad work. You can't just do that. Look, when I tell people to shadow box, right, I tell them to shadow box like you're really in a fight. See, some people, this is how they shadow box, right? They shadow box like they are taking pictures, okay, for a UFC Fight Week camera, right? Because it looks like this in the UFC Fight Week cameras. All right, next up is Rory McDonald, right? This is literally what they would be doing, right? They would just like throw slow punches, you know, make it look like they're, you know, and the next thing you know, they're just, you know, in a still motion, right? Like that is literally how some people really train. But you have to train like you're going to fight. So what do you do in a fight? Well, then you got to train like you're in a fight. So, okay, you're going to move your head. You're going to have a certain level of speed and intensity to go along with it, right? Like the certain speed and intensity, because this is what you're really going to do in a fight. But in a fight, you're also going to be very relaxed. You're also going to be calm. So there are certain levels and tempos that you have to keep up with. Now, if you are with a person that is that you are familiar with, you kind of know, all right, I'm going to go here. Okay, now we're going to go here, and then it's slow, and you know, you're just kind of relaxing, and then you're just kind of going through the motion. And sometimes that works. Maybe if you're in a flow state, but there's a certain level of alertness that you have to operate in while you are actually in that fight or flight situation of a fight in front of you.
Many problems, there's so much going on. Why would you do this? Why would you risk it all? Why would you get in there? And I felt a tinge of fear for the first time in my life. And that's when I knew I had to fight. Because the second I felt afraid, I knew I had to fight. I can't live doubting myself. Seeds of doubt grow into forests of inaction. I don't operate that way. If Chase and I had to fight again tomorrow, I'd go tomorrow still with 100% belief in myself, even though I know he just beat me. That's who I am. The second I knew that, you know, I was worried about it, I knew I had to do it. And I'm not afraid to lose. I'm afraid to not try.
I mean, the best sparring partner we saw was Benjamin Adegbui, a legitimate glory kickboxing champion. But even then, he's still a kickboxer, not a boxer. And there's no indication of how often they actually sparred or how intense those sessions were. And that raises a massive question. Where were the real tests? Where were the big, ugly heavyweights whose job was to lean on Tate, smother him, push him into the ropes, and make him work when tired? Where were the rounds designed specifically to break his gas tank and force adjustments? Because here's the thing, if Tate was genuinely sparring people who mimicked Chase's size, pressure, and style, someone in that camp would have noticed the conditioning issues early. Fatigue doesn't just magically appear on fight night. It shows up in sparring long before that. Either he wasn't being tested properly or nobody was being honest with him. And that's where camp dynamics matter. Loyalty is great, but loyalty without honesty gets fighters hurt. Tate has a close relationship with his coach, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there were plenty of experienced people around him. At no point did anyone step in and say, this isn't enough, or we need harder work, or this fight is going to be uglier than you think. Instead.
So in other words, yeah, there was a lack of hard work because of the familiarity and also just plainly having a lot of yes men around you. That's really what it comes down to, right, is that he had a lot of yes men around him. That's the unfortunate truth of Andrew Tate's camp, is that having yes men around you is not going to push you to that next level, right? But that's, what is unfortunately happening there. Let's see. All right, man. So that's really all there is with Andrew Tate, right? A lot of people are, coping for him, but then at the same time, there's a lot of people that are really just going in on him hard, man. Going in on him and just constant too as well, right? Just not really giving him any, not giving him any break about this at all. And I wonder, maybe the reason why is because, a lot of people probably feel like he deserves it, right? All right, let's move on from that, right? So we talked about Andrew Tate. What about Chase? What is he going to do with this, right? Well, he called out Tommy Fury. That's a good call out, right? Is he ready for Tommy Fury? I don't know, but that would be the next best step. I think that he would really need to improve. And if he wants to move on from this 15 minutes of fame or continue it, yeah, he does need to beat the likes of Tommy Fury, which I think for him would be a tough task, believe it or not, right? It would be a tough task for him to beat Tommy Fury. I think Tommy Fury would put a number on Chase Demoor, and as a result, no more of his 15 minutes of fame after that. But we will see. People can evolve, right? Look at Jake Paul. But then you got to have the right meticulous matchmaking and the right amount of training in between that to really cultivate you into that. But then in the end, even look at the high risk that Jake Paul had to take. I think Jake Paul and Andrew Tate had one thing in common going into this, right? Which was they had to go in there and basically fight for money. Think about it, right? Everybody thinks that, oh, he's the top G. He's not worried about money or this and that. You don't know what's in that guy's bank account or what he has going on, right? Okay, he may not be broke, but the expenses that he has going on, having to pay security, and then on top of that, legal bills, and then Jake Paul, the same thing. But, there's a lot going on. He pays a lot of people. He's got a high amount of staff working for him. A lot of people around him 24/7. That gets expensive. That will lead somebody to go into a fight. So, by the way, Anthony Joshua's mom, I'm sorry, not Anthony Joshua's mom, Jake Paul's mom said that she was going to slap Eddie Hearn, right? Which is hilarious, right? Hilarious. But at the same time, that's what happens, right? Family members get involved. They get very passionate about it, as they should. That's the way it is, and that's what it's going to be, right? She said that she was going to slap him, but then at the same time, it was Logan Paul that was literally so up close to AJ. Look at this. Take a look at this video right here. Right here. Jake Paul's mom is upset that, Jake Paul's mom is upset that Anthony Joshua, or I'm sorry, Eddie Hearn was looking a bit smug, or whatever that means. Meanwhile, here's Logan, right? She's mad that Eddie Hearn was looking like a smug, but here comes Logan Paul right here. I think at this point it was probably round number 2, which is, what Logan Paul is talking about. Bilal Muhammad Fan Club, he says, yo, bro, well, I don't really celebrate that, but thank you, my man. I hope you are having a good time as well. And then the mom said that she wanted to slap Eddie Hearn, right? Let's see if there's a video of that. It was on the Logan Paul podcast. Okay, here it is.
Hey guys, please make sure to like and subscribe to this video. Hey guys, please make sure to like and subscribe.
Okay, so Jake Paul's mom not happy with Eddie Hearn. I want to get in that ring and punch Eddie Hearn. I don't like his smug face. Jake is struggling, and he's sitting there smiling. Even Anthony Joshua had some class and apologized to me. So there you go, right? You know, obviously, yeah, Jake Paul's mom was not happy about that. But meanwhile, there's Logan Paul acting a fool ringside. Man, I don't know how they allowed him to sit so close like that at ringside, but I think that is all strategic because they knew that somehow he was going to give some kind of psychological edge for Logan Paul. But yeah, man, so obviously UFC, we got that is coming up, UFC 324. That's going to be on January 24th. And then the next one's going to be on January 31st at UFC 325. So 324 and 325 coming up. Now that is awesome. Okay, let's take a look at the UFC lineup for that one right here. 324. So right there's UFC 324. Headlined by Justin Gaethje and Patty Pimblett, and then obviously Kayla Harrison and Amanda Nunes are in that as well. Bilal Muhammad with the $2, man. Thank you, my man. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you so much, man. Anybody else that want to drop some super chats and match Bilal, please be kind. Thank you, my man. Salam alaikum to you, my man. All right, so right after that, you got UFC 325, Volkanovski. I think this is going to be his retirement fight, guys. Okay, but how about this? Benoit Saint-Denis, okay, as the co-main event against Dan Hooker. That's going to be a good one. Can't wait for that one. And then you got Batista versus Oliveira, right? Vincinius Oliveira, not to be mistaken by, but Mario does deserve his own main event, even if it is at the Apex. And then Sean Strickland and my boy, Anthony Hernandez. By the way, Anthony Hernandez and I were in that same card right there. So, all right, man. So that is the UFC that you have for 326. And then obviously Brandon Moreno versus Asu Ambalaev is also in the works, or has been in the works for February 28th. And that's that. So we went over the UFC. Okay, we went over Andrew Tate, his fans coping, and Chase Demoor, where his future is going to be. What's next for Anthony Joshua? Maybe Tyson Fury, right? But we never know, right? But they are planning on having him fight Rico Verhoeven, which is great for Anthony Joshua's profile. Rico Verhoeven, Glory champion, Francis Ngannou, UFC champion, Jake Paul, YouTube champion, and Anthony Joshua fighting every other fight where the hardcore fans like it, and that's great. And then topping it off with Tyson Fury. At this point, he doesn't need a title. He's in glam fights, and and that's all that he really needs at this point of his career. He's already been the unified champion. Could he go for undisputed champion? There's a great opportunity to be the next guy after Alexander Usyk exits the game, and he's training with him as well. So there we go. And then we talked about the Stockton shooting. Let's talk about the Venezuela versus USA situation going on.
Build a website you love with Wix. For your words.
On this episode of What's Going On, the United States has seized another tanker off the coast of Venezuela. I'm your host, Sam Caglan, and welcome to today's episode. So we've been following this story quite a bit. It seems to be the only story we're following, even though there is a ton of other stuff going on, including the Ukrainians dropping bombs onto a tanker in the Mediterranean. Don't worry, that story's coming along with the report that finally came out on the collision involving the USS Harry Truman and a commercial ship out in the Mediterranean, along with what's going on with containers Tanker Trackers does visual identification of them. They don't just use AIS, the automated identification system. They use visual sightings, in this case, satellite imagery. And in this case, they caught Century's pier side at the Jose terminal on December 11th, 2025. If you follow this ship on AIS, the AIS will show it off the coast of Venezuela at that time. Instead, this ship went into port and started to load about 1.5 million barrels of crude oil on board. And this is the point. This ship is one that triggers a lot about doing basically masking her ID and masking her location. So this site here is Sea Searchers. Now,
Mike Long says, I'm trying to buy a serious mask gainer, but everything is closed. I know, man. And you know what? You know what else is closed? The other MMA streamers as well, right? You know, but I'm not. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to go and take this opportunity right here. Okay. So that's a little bit of some brief, you know, unclassified, you know, information and video and visualizations on what is going on in Venezuela, right? So long story short, China weighs in on this whole situation and they say, you know what, not so fast. This right here, okay, is owned by China because remember, the Venezuelans are tied in with the Russians, and not only are they tied in with the Russians, all of them are tied in with Russia, China, and the whole BRICS system as well. And then there's Brazil, probably a potential ally in the region, because remember the BRICS program, right? You have what is BRICS? Brazil, Russia, Iran, and China. So BRICS, right? That is the BRICS coalition right there amongst the nations that have each other's backs and interest when it comes to oil. So the U.S. has been seizing these oil facilities, okay, and then Trump blatantly saying, well, you know what, we're going to use them and then we're going to boost our economy, supposedly, but who knows, right? So in other words, there's a lot of potential danger in here because Russia is planning on having Venezuela's back. China is weighing in on it because the U.S., according to them, is committing international laws that are being broken. Wow, so that gets really interesting, and that sounds like a potential World War III scenario, unfortunately. But all right, listen, I tell you what, that is the hour that I have for you guys, and that whole entire hour, I went through that whole thing. Now I'm just gonna go through the video game hour right now. I'm just gonna play video games and you know, let the views run as it may be. I'm gonna play some FIFA. Old school FIFA, like 2020 FIFA, but I'm actually playing like a career mode where I'm literally on the exact date of today right now, and I'm going to show it to you guys right now, and yeah, just have fun in the process. Thank you, Bilal Muhammad Fan Club, for the super chats, and thank you, Marty Miller, for being the moderator, and let's just have fun right now and go on to hour number 2. He says, I agree, I hate Christmas, everything is closed. But guess what? I'm not. I'm here. I'm going to be playing games with you guys while also live streaming. So what a great way to, yeah, have fun, I suppose.
By Lloyd's List, and Lloyd's List is probably one of the best agencies out there that does this type of tracking. You'll see that Centuries came out of Singapore. Now, off the coast of Malaysia is a site where ships do ship-to-ship transfers. Basically, ships will marry up alongside ships, and one ship will dump its load into one ship or potentially other ship, multiple.
By the way, look at the date on that. Same exact date as today, December 25th, 2025, right there. Same exact date.
Ships. Reason ships do that is because if they're carrying sanctioned cargo, this allows you to mix that oil or dump it into another tanker and basically, and plus this ship doesn't have to go into port for inspections. We know that the ship departed from Singapore, went around the Cape of Good Hope here, and then sailed up here off to the coast of Brazil. And right here, you'll notice this indication here where it says AIS spoofing started. So this is where it started to mask its identity. Basically, what they did is slow the ship up. And if you follow AIS, it shows you the vessel basically arriving here off the coast of Venezuela, when we know for a fact the ship actually went into port. Now, if we pull...
I'm Manchester City, and I'm going to play against Brentwood on the exact date of this career mode of December 25th, 2025.
Pull up the data here from Sea Searcher, we get some very pertinent information. First off, we get the ship's registry. We know the ship is registered in Panama. We also get classification identification, and we also get...
And a warm welcome. This is the scene here at the Etihad Stadium. My name is Derek Ray. And
I'm going to answer you in a second, Brad. Hey, Brad, stand by. I'm going to answer you in a second.
It's what we hope will be a top-quality football match. It is Manchester City, and they face Brentford.
Well, thank you, Derek. We're in for a real belter today. I haven't got you a present, by the way. But anyway, back to the football.
Yes, Heedy says you typically need some level of jurisdiction to do anything particularly internationally correct. And you know Trump is very reckless, so he's going to do whatever. Okay, Brad, to answer your question, listen, I don't celebrate Christmas. I'm not a Christian, I'm a Muslim, and today is just no different than any other day. But I tell you what, a lot of you are home right now celebrating Christmas and probably sometimes maybe even hating life or hating your family, and then you tune into YouTube, so maybe I can fill in that gap for the people that are in that position. So here I am. I hope that answers your question, my man. Let me know what you think about that.
Here's how the lineup looks for Brentford. The tactical battle is going to be highly instructive. 4-3-3 on one side and 4-3-3 on the other, Lee.
Well, when you match systems up, it's all about individuals. Who can get the better of the player you're playing against?
He says, I'm not home or celebrating today. It's another day for me, too. There you go, man. Shout out to you, Brad. Shout out to you, Brad.
Three midfield players making runs into the penalty area.
He says, I don't belong to any religion. Okay, I understand. I understand you, man. I know where you're coming from. So there you go, guys. We'll have an interesting conversation as you watch me play FIFA. And I think this conversation is getting a lot more interesting as time is going on, man. So shout outs to Brad and shout outs to Heedy. Shout outs to everybody in the chat right now and shout outs to everybody across the world.
Phillips. It's with Bernardo Silva. And given away. A bit slopping in possession. Well, that is how to run at defenders.
He says W stream. Yup, it's a W stream. That's right. A winning stream.
Jose Nirazar. And they are on the move again. Straight down the throat of the opposition. Mateo Kovacic.
And right now in the league, at least in this, Brentwood has the worst away records. He says, do you still train? I do, Brad. I do still train. You know what? I'll probably train for you guys. How about this, right? How about I'll train maybe after this, right? Just to kind of show you that not only can I stream, talk politics, play video games, but also train as well. I think I'm going to train. I think I'm going to train in person for you guys in a bit. He says we'd love a training. Yeah, I'll train too. No, I'm not. This is 2020 version. So yeah, this is an older version. So I'm not online with this one.
Once again, Manchester City with the advantage. That's a very
It's a career mode.
And the emphasis is on creativity. Well, it could be on for him here.
Ooh, that was a good save on his part. Xbox Lord. He says, what is your background in fighting? MMA? I fought MMA and Muay Thai. So I fought Muay Thai and I fought MMA. Let me, I'll show you a little bit of highlight right here.
Well, he was just a fraction offside then. That's all it needs to be, a fraction, and it was so close.
Oh, okay, there's me right there climbing the ropes in Venice Beach. Hold on, let me see if I can... that's my hotel right there in Universal Studios with some sushi. That's me right there competing in Muay Thai. This was back in 2012? 2011. This was in 2012. This is me fighting MMA in 2012. And what else here? Scuba diving. What else here? Down the border in Mexico. Sailing. You know, real man's man up in here. You know what I mean? There it is. And then winning state title trophies for Muay Thai, you know, 2010. And breaking my opponent's ribs. There it is, man. Ooh. All right. Do the punches hurt through the headgear? I wouldn't, Brad, to be honest with you, I wouldn't know. When I was fighting amateur, bro, I barely got hit. I rarely got hit when I was fighting amateur Muay Thai. You know, it was amateur Muay Thai, and a lot of these dudes were not on my level. So, yeah, it was one of them type of things. By the way, Brad, what part of the world are you from, brother? Let me know on the comment section below if you don't mind. Oh, yeah, and look, this is me training with Uriah as well. That's me with Uriah Faber. Because, you know, I live and train out here in Sacramento. He says, do amateurs mostly suck? Oh, okay. Do the amateurs mostly suck? I'm from Utah. You know what? When I fought amateur Muay Thai, it was a pretty high level, I'll say, right? Because a lot of these dudes were like, you know, bringing in trainers from Thailand and this and that. And then some of them even had experience fighting out there or fighting MMA as well. So it was a very competitive, yeah, it was a very competitive bracket. Okay, the bracket that I was in you know, 2010.
Here's the replay. I can see why the keeper's a little frustrated. He thought he got enough on that to keep it out, but it's just gone past him and he's unlucky really.
Well, let's take another look at that goal, shall we?
He says, what would you put in your mind when you are walking into the ring? That's a good question, man. What I would put from there is just, you know, straight, unadulterated violence, I think. You know, I think that is what I just put in my head. And, you know, and then also just thinking methodically before walking in there.
An unforced error, you've got to say. Well, they've jumped in front, Lee. That's the most important. Kovacic seducing with his passing. It's still off the keeper. very deftly cut out. Goals go in the Newcastle game. Alan McInally can tell us more.
It's a third goal for Newcastle United. 42 minutes played. 3-0.
Alan McInally with his finger on the pulse. Firing it in.
Yeah, Brad, give it a try, man.
Double, but the goalkeeper wasn't.
Yeah, give it a try, Brad. You know, I think every man should, you know, try it at one time, you know, just to, you know, see. But obviously that's not, you know, realistic for everybody because everyone has different, you know, life trajectories and, you know, and different patterns, so to say. So, yeah. But if you do get an opportunity, yeah, please, you know, do so. He says, any advice before taking my first class? Yeah, make sure that the people that you train with, like, look at it like this, right? This is the best way to put it, Brad. Okay, the best way to put it is, you know how employers interview people, right? They scout people. I know that gyms sometimes scout fighters and scout potential talent. But now you, as a potential athlete of the sport, what you got to do is scout your trainers. Interview your trainers like you are an employer, not the employee. You know what I mean? Like, what is it that they can do to service you, right? Do you vibe well with them? Do you feel that they can be coherent in their, you know, in their communication patterns of teaching you? That's very important. One of my first Muay Thai coaches was a former naval intelligence guy who trained people in, you know, in Muay Thai. Jeff Baca, he was, you know, former naval intelligence. He knew Arabic, right? So when he wanted to give me instructions in the corner, right, the opposition was not able to intercept the instructions that he was giving me. Why? Because he knew how to speak Arabic. So there you go. I vibed well with the guy, right? He was a military guy. He, you know, had a great understanding of what I wanted to do, and I vibed well with him. And then I liked all of the fighters that he was there. He says, when you were winning your Muay Thai fights, what were your go-to moves, and how did you set up that rib break? Muay Thai clinch, and then just, you know, that's from pure wrestling, my man. You know, like a lot of that was from wrestling strength, because I also wrestled growing up in Jersey. So he says, yeah, thanks for answering my questions, by the way. Yeah, man, no problem at all, man. I hope I can be very helpful as well, bro. You know, so yeah, that's what we do in this portion of the live stream right now. You know, obviously I did every concept that we talked about on the details. Right, we talked about the Stockton, you know, gang war that is going on, right? As a result of that, we also talked about Anthony Joshua, what is next for him? What is next for Jake Paul? Logan Paul and his mother weighing in, saying she was going to slap Eddie Hearn. Andrew Tate and his supporters coping, finding out what is next for Chase Demoor. Is it going to be more in the future or just another 15 minutes of fame? We also went over some UFC updates. And shout outs to Bilal Muhammad Fan Club for sending me a super chats. Anybody that wants to support the channel and send super chats, send them my way as well. He says, I have enough strength to where fighters my size can get out of my clinch. How do you capitalize on that? Man, yeah, it would depend. You know what? I would really have to take a look at you to like really give, you know, an honest assessment on that, you know, because otherwise I would just give you a cookie cutter answer. Right? But if you do have a good amount of strength and you go into Muay Thai, I think, yeah, close range is a great spot for you. But I also fight, you know, pretty well in the long range. So.
Well, he did better than the first time, the goalkeeper. What a save that is.
Corner kick played in.
Both officials indicated there will be a minimum of
completely wasted throw-in, and he's broken free. The goals keep going in for them. I don't think they're going to throw this away now. Absolutely omnipotent.
Well, just look at this. They all back off him, and he takes the advantage. He goes through 1, 2, 3. In the end, it's a wonderful solo goal.
Blistering first half display, and just look at that score. The first half here comes to an end.
He says, James, longtime watcher, but don't really comment. Is there anything you do to deliver a bone-breaking knee to the rib? Love the stream.
And we've seen it again here today.
This could be one to savour. Manchester City gets the contest underway. He must finish. A goal in the early stages. Precisely what they had been planning. Well, it's a poor tackle. Kovacic. And now the goal the City fans wanted to see. It's hard to see them throwing this away. Firing it in. Well, he had designs on a double, but the goalkeeper wasn't having it.
Well, he did better than the first time, the goalkeeper.
Well, that's a completely wasted throw-in, and he's broken free. The goals keep going in for them. I don't think they're going to throw this away now. Was one-way traffic in the first half.
All right, check this out. I told you guys I'm going to do a live training session with you guys, and I'm going to do exactly that. So, yeah, we're going to get it cracking right here. Maybe do a 25-minute round. I'm sorry, 5 rounds. So 5 minutes each. That's what we're going to do. I'm going to play... He says, love this stream. Hey, by the way, I love this comment right here. This is my favorite comment. Jameson says, long-time watcher, but don't really comment. Is there anything you do to deliver bone breaking knee to the rib? I don't know. I guess just, power, but I will train right now. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a training session. So I'm going to do it live stream. So what MMA streamer do you know that's going to play video games, also live stream their training sessions while also going over the topics that I went over with you in the first hour? So yeah, man, we're going to do it all. Bear with me. I'm going to be on the mat in just a second right now. He says, love the stream. Thank you, my man. It was a question. Yes. Okay. So maybe I'll display a little bit of some, knee techniques during the training session, do a little bit of some demonstrations. So we're going to get it cracking right now. I'm going to train with you guys live, and stay tuned, okay? Because I'm going to do it right now. By the way, yeah, Jameson, let me know what part of the world you are from. He says, good morning from Texas. Man, good morning, Gordo, Tex, man. Shout outs to you guys, man. Good morning to everybody, man. Shout outs to all of you guys. Yeah, it's going to be a great live stream right now. Oh, yeah. We're going to get some training session in. I'm going to grab some water. Actually, I do have some water. in the garage to get that going. So, all right, man. I'm excited for this spontaneous training session. Just getting some gear going here. All right. And you know what? I'm going to do it with a polo shirt on too. How about that? He says, I'm traveling cities right now. He says, did you gain raw strength from repetition in Muay Thai, or was it just heavyweight lifting? Heavyweight lifting and then wrestling when I was a kid as well, I think, had something to do with it as well. So, let's see here. Where are my MMA gloves? Here we go. All right, we got the MMA gloves going. Perfect. Black MMA gloves. All right, laptop. Play a little bit of some music. And then we're gonna have a timer to go along with it. He says bench press, curls, or leg. You know what I do? What were your go-to weight training workouts? One arm snatch, 100-pound dumbbells, sled pushes, stuff like that. I like doing Randy Couture workouts where you do like a barbell. You'll take like, let's say maybe 40 to 60 to 80 pound barbell, right? 15 here, 15 here, 15 here. And then, like maybe you can add, lunges, along with it. But yeah, something to that degree. He says, okay, dope. Okay. By the way, guys, that's a rental in the front. So, usually I would not be having the license plate out like that, but it's a rental. So, yeah, nonetheless, it's a rental. So that's why you have a Wyoming, license plate on it. So, yeah. Okay, I'm going to do it with the round. So we're going to do round 1 right now. Round 1. Okay. Round 1. All right, that was round number 1. Now, he says he's training to be a bodyguard. Okay, now on to round number 2. He says, nice moves, this guy's a real deal. Thank you. He says, let's bring Jake Paul. Come on, let's go. Round 2 coming up. He says, constructive criticism. The erratic footwork and spinning stuff can go. Okay, spins are too telegraphed and should only be thrown. Okay. This guy's one's, yes. All right, round 2. fucking idiot. Talking about ever fight anything that can hit back. Okay, you're in the shadow realm. You are in the shadow. Round number 3. All right, 2 more rounds. Round 4. Yeah, thank you. Round 4 coming up. Round 4. Last round, round number 5. Round number 5. Wow. Okay. Listen, you ignorant fool. That's 5 minutes and 25 minutes in total. 5 rounds is an MMA and aerobic. What you do in boxing is aerobic. So of course, for 12 rounds, you can keep up this pace. As a matter of fact, after doing just that 25 minutes, I'll show you that I could, keep up with this boxing pace as well. And this is after doing 25 minutes of MMA. Oh, wow. This dude, what's his name? Marquise got hands. Listen, you know how much of a loser you would have to be to come on somebody's live chat talking about, oh, we do 12 rounds. Yeah, you idiot. You know, I have videos like this in these live streams where I do 12-round boxing rounds as well. I urge you to take a look at that. I also have, done those workouts as well. I have all my training sessions in here, all the conditionings I do, the one-arm 100-pound snatches, the box jumps that I do, that I literally jump boxes that are like right up my waistline. You know, you guys are not doing that. You guys are not doing workouts like that where you're doing those types of box jumps on top of heavy lifting. Listen, the minute some of you already lift heavy, man, I'm telling you, like, you couldn't even jump knee high, let alone waist high, okay? I'm jumping waist high while lifting heavy, pushing 600-pound sled pushes on top of 100-pound one-arm dumbbell snatches. That's what I do. Okay, what it do, man? Hey, man, just showing people what we got going on here. He says, go run 10 laps. You're wasting your time. Yeah, well, man, listen, how about this? How about you get up out of here talking about this, that, and the other? Hey, listen, bro. I have people, coming in here, sending me super chats, watching me train, okay? Whereas if you were to, let's say, fight in the regionals or wherever it is that you fight, if you even fight at all, you wouldn't even get the half a notoriety that I get on top of knowing how to market yourself. You would be a broke fighter. So I don't know what you're talking about. I know how to market myself and how to market my channel and how to market what I've done in the past. Unlike you, unlike most of you who never accomplished anything in your life, never had anything going on top of that, you just go out and hate because that's just how you guys are. But you guys are an audience. I'm the live stream that you're watching, and that's really all there is to it. I don't give a damn if that's cringe. That's just being real. That's just being real. A lot of you would not be able to do the type of workouts that I do, the type of training sessions that I do, on top of doing it in your own live stream because you're ashamed of the fact that you couldn't even do half of the things that I do live and in person because a lot of you are introverts. A lot of you don't know how to get up out of your shell, and that's why you're scared because you're afraid of what others will say about you, and that's the reason why you don't do what I do. So shut up. Listen, be the audience that you are, be the good audience that you are, and watch the show. That's really all there is to it. He says, I already did, fool. I already did. So, that's that. All right, man, on to the next one. On to the next one, man. talking about this is cringe. But guess what, bro? For as cringe as it is, you're the one watching it. Remember that, okay? You're the one watching it, okay? And I'm going to leave it off. Guys, listen, I'm going to leave it off with this, okay? How miserable do you have to be? Now, look, I don't celebrate Christmas, okay? I need you to keep that in mind. I do not celebrate Christmas at all, okay? Today is just no other day different than any other Thursday or any other Friday. For you guys, it's like the biggest thing in the world, okay? It's like, all right, you guys have to meet with your family. Some of you even hate your family. Here's another thing. A lot of you are coming in here talking smack on Christmas Day, okay, which is supposed to be your holiday, not my freaking holiday. I'm just living my life doing what I'm doing, and then you're coming into this chat talking about this, that, and the other. Now, shout out to the people that were in here giving constructive criticism. Okay, I functions with all of that. I functions with all of you that are giving good criticism. But all of you that are in here talking about you want to fight me or this, that, and the other. Listen, bro, let's be honest. A lot of you are introverts. You wouldn't even dare come up to me in person, let alone even have enough money to show up here in Sacramento, okay, with a flight ticket, because a lot of you are too broke. A lot of you can't even pay your electric bills. You don't think that I know? You don't think that I know of the kind of struggles that you got going on? And you think that somehow that's going to mask everything by coming online and then getting at a dude that's just doing a live workout session? I'm not even trying to prove anything other than just showing you, hey, I know a thing or two about martial arts. But then you want to come in here and you want to talk smack because you want to feel better about yourself. But guess what? I'm the one that's feeling better about myself, because check this out. You know what I did in this whole entire live stream? I talked about the war between America and Venezuela. Okay, U.S. Special Forces seizing oil rigs. I talked about the updates on the mass shooting in Stockton. Is there a gang truce going on? I gave you all the information on that and the historical context of the gangs in Stockton, California. I gave you Anthony Joshua telling you what his next potential fights are after breaking Jake Paul's jaw, and then covering the coping that Andrew Tate fans had going on, and then the reality of Chase Demoor's 15 minutes of fame. On top of that, we talked about UFC. Not only that, we also talked about, well, I literally played video games while playing FIFA and then working out on a live stream. Bro, I'm doing everything that you're not. Do you not understand that? I'm doing everything that you're not, and that's really all there is to it. So whether you like it or not, that's just what it is. You, my guy, he says, my guy, relax. I'm alone too. Don't give in to the, nah, bro. He says, this is cringe how some people cling to hate. Okay, why are you crying though? Ain't nobody crying. You're probably the one crying. You're probably the one crying because you have to come into somebody's chat while they're out there working out, living their best life, and here you are living like a bum, and that's how I'm gonna end a live stream. Goodbye. Like and subscribe. You're all a bunch of scrubs. Ah.